Today we have with us some of the guys that really understand security in blockchain, in crypto, and security in general. Between us, we have probably, I would say, 80 years of cybersecurity. No, it's about 70 years. We're not that old. 70 years of cybersecurity experience, yeah? So we're going to talk about current state and what we are seeing out there, and kind of trying to set founders' minds into how to approach security. Because last year was terrible, this year started even worse, yeah? On anything, you know, not just in smart contracts hacking, you know, there's a lot more going behind the scenes, yeah? So, Metaverse, one of the things that we are seeing out there is new attack vectors, new exploits, yeah? But I want to start first about basic principles. So, this is a question for all the panel. In my opinion, the first thing that we need to think when we look at NFTs and Metaverse and how to approach new security threats is about identity, yeah? Think about that we have our avatars, and what we're going to do in the Metaverse, it means there's now we're moving from the 2D internet to a 3D space, and we're going to do that transversal behavior, really, you know? So that means a lot of data is going to be added, but it becomes more personal, yeah? So how do we all need to think about identity and protecting not just ourselves, but, you know, people in general that are going to access our products from all of these new attack vectors, yeah? So who want to go first?
You know, I promise you one thing. In the next few years, the #1 subject will be the protection of your identity. And last night we were having a bit of a joke about this presentation because nobody really takes security that seriously. And I was told not to wear a suit. But the important point behind that is perception is deception. And to go to the point about identity, I'll let Yasser and Alex comment more on that. But from the cyber perspective, inside of the metaverse, it goes down as far as the silicon level, the ASIC, and all the way down to the core underlying technology. At the end of the day, things are happening on that level that we don't even understand. So my take on this is, first of all, you've got to protect yourself physically. Physical security is the first thing, before you go virtual and before you go to the cloud and the blockchain. And you really need to think about these things now on a 10-year horizon and the repercussions of anything you're going to do. That's my scene setter for Alex and Yasser. Over to you, Yasser.
So for the privacy and the identity management in Metaverse, let's focus on something here. To enter the Metaverse, you need the pair of glasses with a chip installed in it. This chip could hold a lot of data about you. It's not about just personal data, password, and so on. No, it will hold your voice signature, your locations, like specific and accurate location, what you do, how you behave, almost everything about you. It's with you everywhere and every day. So to reveal your identity, your interests, and everything about your personal life, it's very easy. I mean, your phone do the same job, but for the pair of, I mean, any device that you will use for to enter the metaverse, like any Oculus or anything, it will hold all this kind of data, very accurate data, a lot of data. It's every day, every time with you. So here we're talking about like millions of data that if anyone got access to this data, your life will be like it's very hard for you to go anywhere. They know everything already about you. So I think the data here, I mean, there's responsibility not only for the person who will use the technology, but for the companies that will sell, like Facebook or Meta or any company that will offer this kind of technology. They have to take care of this. So please.
So Alex, there you go, man. You know, I think you should assume you're already been breached, right?
Something like that. About identity protection, there is a few points. First of all, there is no way to completely protect your identity, but you have to control it manually, time to time, and you have to have signals that something goes wrong. My good friend, he was crypto entrepreneur for 5 years, and he was strongly opposing to OTP because he says like, there is no way to recreate OTP if something goes wrong with me, but I want to share my assets to my family and etc. So there is just your point of view. You'd like to keep it to yourself. This way OTP will help you. For instance, you want to share your assets with your relatives. This way you have to avoid it. And the same thing applies to literally everything about identity protection. So first of all, you have to make decision how you should operate it. Something like that.
Yeah, it's going always to be difficult. We all know that. Yeah, we rely more and more on phones, which you basically can't protect. You know, as we can try, everybody can try, but it's impossible. So there's always going to be new attack vectors, new security threats, but we need to look at best practices, right? And I think founders of projects and people really that work, you have really to take this very serious, you know, extremely serious. And I know people try, but my advice is right from beginning, whatever you're doing, make sure that you start from the security perspective of your users and build everything around that. Whatever you are building, yeah? And the identity and data of your users should be built into that initial architecture. It has to be the foundation of every single thing that you do, yeah? So touching based on that, the cryptocurrencies and NFTs are kind of more or less the foundation around what we're seeing on the metaverse, being in gaming, but it's all around that, yeah? So what are the current gaps and attack vectors that you are seeing out there at the moment? Alex, do you want to start with that?
Yeah, I'd like to start with the very first thing that came into my mind. The most important thing about your NFT is estimation of the market, how much it costs. But sometimes when you contact with markets, with trading platforms, since it is completely automized, it can have a gap on the estimation part. For instance, we've seen in our experience few cases when NFT was estimated by hacker activity to zero tokens. And this way it was stilled. So every time when you contact with a trading platform, you should verify it was secured and audited.
In addition to that, like the Web3 and the blockchain and everything related to blockchain, it introduces the smart contracts. So smart contracts as well, like we never seen smart contract before the blockchain technology. There was like one in 1995, but it was not the smart contract that we're talking about. So the vulnerabilities or the weaknesses in the smart contract, it's very easy. It makes the life for hackers very easy to find one bug or one vulnerability or weakness or issue to just drain the entire money in this smart contract. Like 1 billion, 2 billion, whatever, depends on how lucky is the hacker. So making sure that your smart contract that will be public and everyone can see it, it should be really secure. You cannot just go and develop the smart contract, push your developers to do it very quickly because your investor, you want to impress him that, see, we've done a great job. Then one hacker come and within like couple of code lines, he can drain the entire money in the smart contract. So the smart contract security here is like one of the fundamentals in the blockchain security. Of course, other like the infrastructure where these blockchain applications are, for example, the mobile application. If you have, for example, like a crypto exchange, you have a web application. You have to secure it very well. You have like middleware software here and there. You have to secure it very well. You have also the mobile application. You have to make sure that statically and dynamically the application is. I'm going too technical, right?
No, you're going well.
Okay, you do the static analysis and the dynamic analysis for the mobile application, for the binary of the mobile application, for the APIs, for everything. Because the security here is not just you secure the smart contract or the mobile application. It's in all and each level. You have to take care of all the levels. Other than this, you are not doing it the correct way. And the attack surface here is very big because in all and each part of the process or the business, there is like vulnerabilities that can arise and hackers can exploit or abuse it for their interest.
Looking forward, quantum computing is already here. In a post-quantum world, smart contracts are going to be important as a foundation, identity. I think, as you said there, Yasser, it's the infrastructure from the network upwards. You need to look at things from the ground up. And if you want to have scalability and security at the same time as rolling out your system or your project, as you said, you just have to roll the clock back. You have to assume you've already been breached. It's already happened. Things are already inside. People already have insights on what you're doing. And this is the fundamental principle. Smart contracts, yeah, it's important, but it's not the most important. It's probably the least important thing. It's only important for the commercial transaction, really. That's my perspective. What do you think, Fernando?
So there is many different ways and many. Look, people think that yeah, I have a blockchain, therefore I have all my stuff secure. No, you're not. Yeah, it's as simple as that. And then people think, yeah, I put some smart contracts, I put a lot of my stuff there. Yeah, I've got an auditor. Yeah, I tick the box. Make sure you get the right auditor, first of all. Yeah. And I'm not criticizing anyone here. It is about you to decide really who are who fits best what you're trying to do. Yeah. And then once you move away from that, the attack surface is quite big. Yeah. Before, you have to understand one thing. Yeah? Your users are going to use your platform. They're not going to use your smart contract. Yeah? So you're building user interfaces for your users to access something that is behind, which is a blockchain, is a layer 1 or layer 0, whatever you want to call it. Layer 0 is something else we're probably going to touch base. But one of the things you have to understand is that you have to look at end to end. And that's why I said in the beginning, you have to see at the foundation of when you start developing anything, make sure the security is covered end to end. Which brings me to the next point. Yeah? So in our two-dimensional world in the internet, we're already looking at hardware. When you talk about physical security, but there's hardware and software security. Now, with a three-dimensional world like the metaverse, we are introducing further, new potential attack vectors. We're talking about VR headsets, AR. Yeah. Now, that is going to be exploited big time. So there's something else that people need to start to think about. Yeah? So based on your experience and what you're seeing, and maybe trying to look now and I know you guys have been looking like I have, what are the potential new threats, when we start now introducing people interaction with things like VR headsets or AR?
On VR, our side, it's 3D and 4D, so basically it just opens you all the way up to the next subject, which is AI. I did my degree and thesis on AI back in 1988, before the internet was even invented, pretty much. And I can tell you that on the AI side of things, that's going to be the threat on the VR, AR side of things, because all the information that's going to be collected on you is going to be mined forever.
In addition to that, usually when we talk about securing ourselves or the threats, where the threat actor, if you, for example, you have to think, who are you securing yourself from? If you think that you're safe from the government, no. They are everywhere. They can do anything, literally anything they want. So what we're talking about here is securing ourselves from script kiddies or from hackers, not very professional hackers, but from hackers. So the idea here is, I remember I was working in a project with Ministry of Defense in one country, and they have something called vetting labs. Vetting labs, this a huge lab. Anything enter the country, like routers, any network, devices, or even tanks, fighters and so on, anything that has a chip inside it. They check it physically. They see if there is any kind of backdoor and anything that they can, they call it a kill switch. For example, one country want to fight another country, and they, for example, American F-35, for example. If one other country, they want to fight America with their F-35, with one kill switch, they can just stop the entire system so this is very usual. Even there is a incident, I think France, they used to do this in the satellites that they were selling before a long time ago. So you have to make sure that the devices that you'll buy, like the pair of glasses or the Oculus or any product that you will use to enter the metaverse, if we're talking about metaverse now, is coming from there is kind of trustworthy source. Okay, there is a chain of custody. Let's say you buying this device from this Meta certified store. Don't just go and buy anything from the street, from any place, and you say, okay, I will use it to enter the metaverse because it's cheap or something like this. This is very dangerous, and we have to really take care of this. Otherwise, we're putting ourselves, our personal life, our family life in risk.
Well, I'd like to add a very critical point here that I often repeat this. There is no such thing in a universe like unhackable. Everything is hackable. It depends just on price. In a modern time, we came to a really high budget of an attack of a hacker. It is totally normal to spend $1,000, $1 billion into a single attack. So this is something you should keep in mind, that if you want to protect your critical assets, you should use tools that is just too expensive to be hacked. The only way to protect your assets is to do that way. As for exact routes of attack, I believe there is nothing new in the world. The described way to attack via device was very same about 20 years ago, when you just buy USB driver from in a street. This way you can lose everything on your laptop. So just keep in mind, do not try your best to use roads, the expensive roads, to be hacked. Yeah.
Great, guys. So we touched based on quite a few things. I want to go maybe a little bit more deeper now. Okay. I know, Alex, that you have been looking quite deep at some of the blockchains out there, and the state of majority of blockchains is quite terrible. You know, you and I have been speaking about that, which is, it's quite disappointing. We've like 10 years, 11 years already kind of having things we would expect to be a bit better, yeah? So I guess from, in general, people trying to build stuff on chains out there, yeah? It's quite a hard choice, you know. What do you think they should look at, first of all, when they are choosing a chain to build on? Yeah, I'm talking from a security perspective, yeah? And also, I think Alex is building something very cool. In my perspective, it is the next blockchain, the next big blockchain, by the way, you know? I want you to give us a little bit of insight into that, whatever you can for now, yeah, to give us, because it's very cool what these guys are building, you know? Because they come from a security background, but they also decided, like myself, you know, trying to solve some of the problems out there. So can you start to tell us, first of all, about the first question, then the second one about what you're building?
Thank you so much for this introduction. Yeah, we started from the question how we can solve the current problem with bridges, because the most critical part here is Oracle, which is obviously centralized in decentralized world. It is a weak spot. And can we solve the problem? And in fact, we can. We can make oracles decentralized. It's a complicated way. We created level 1 very classic blockchain protocol and extended with few nice features. First, we made it possible to run into the single node of our chain different nodes of different chains like Ethereum, Bitcoin, and etc. and etc. And in C++ level, without using RPC at all, we can transfer the data. And this way, with few additions, we can address to different chains, to different contracts, grab the data and transfer it. This way, everyone in our chain can create his own node and participate in this data transfer process. So if we want to transfer transaction data from, for instance, Ethereum to Solana, everyone who created this kind of node can be participant of this process, just like I said. This way it is decentralized, and finally we can solve it. And if we add to this Concord Ethereum virtual machine, everything will be just perfect. I'm happy to announce this process. It is itsy bitsy.
Thank you, Alex.
So, as I said already, I mean, Alex, you're designing it from the ground up, but I don't think any of the blockchains today are going to do what's required on a 5 to 10 year horizon. So what we need for the future is good luck with the project, because you know, the fundamentals are not there today in terms of scalability. It's so obvious to all of us that everything we've got today won't, you know, you see the SWIFT network being shut down, and you see what's happening in the world and the way that money's got to be transferred around securely. And we're all in this room talking about decentralized, but let's not forget, in the centralized world, as Yasser touched on, the states and the ministries and everybody are very much in control of their plan for what they're going to do for identity, what they're going to do for their scalability around the blockchain, and what they're going to do for security and identity. So that's all happening. And you know, today's blockchains, the very name blockchain means it's not going to last, in my personal opinion. The future is going to be something that's got to be, as I said, quantum ready. So it's got to be something that's more of a parallel compute architecture for simplicity for the audience, something that's going to be based on something like a directed acyclic graph, block DAG type architecture, because that's going to prepare the world for what we need to run things at the speed of Visa, MasterCard, Union Pay. That's what's fundamentally going to drive it. As you said, Alex, it's all about money. As you said, it's all about layer 0 all the way up. Layer 1 and Layer 2 for me will be subsumed by technologies which will be backwardly compatible, whether it's Avalanche, Ethereum, Solana, all those types of things will be morphed into a block DAG architecture in the future, because that's the only thing that's going to give you the 3 axes of security, scalability, and performance. The thing that we're all striving to get, and it's not really about the mobile app, and it's not really about the phone. It's really about fundamental things, as you touched on, Yasser, in the core architecture down to the silicon level. I think the best analogy I heard today in a war situation, and is that Yasser just said, you know, who's in control of the F-35 button for turning it on and turning it off? That's the ultimate control. And that's the way the world is unfortunately going to be. We have to bear in mind that if you look at what the Bank of International Settlements are currently rolling out from a central bank digital currency perspective during COVID in the past 2 or 3 years, it's all been happening already. And they already designed the systems in back end to roll things over to the new world. So I think Alex is good that you're designing things from first principles here for the next few years. I would probably put a question back to him, Fernando, which is, what's he going to do about scalability? Because there's always a trade-off between performance, security, and scalability. But
Yeah, sure.
Back to you.
Oh, first,
Thank you. Following Angus and Alex, like we see, for example, for the new protocols are emerging very, very rapidly. And it's my opinion, the worst idea is to give the developers who are developing production applications the low level of the protocol, because they will always make mistake. They will always, it's not their job. Yes, there is developers for the low level and there is developers for the high level. In between, we should have like middleware or framework that can handle this, the security part and the accessibility part for developers. It will make their life easy, and when they start to develop, they will develop in a bit high level, so they will develop secure applications. I remember the wormhole attack. Like one hacker, he withdrawn like $350 million because of one vulnerability in the wormhole. I think it's developed by Ethereum. So this is like, it's not the problem of developers. It's a problem that the idea of the new emerging technology, it's new. Developers, they don't know. They just go for the documentation, learn how they use it, and they start developing. They don't care about the security because it's not their job. Okay? I mean, it's not that they haven't like learned how to securely write the code. This is no big or well-documented playbooks or something about the cybersecurity or how to write the secure code in the smart contract. So everything now is, I mean, for the developers, I really wish that HCPT or any other frameworks or protocols become like, make life, the life of developers very easy to develop applications without caring about these low-level technical things that it's not their job actually.
yeah, I agree. And Itsy Bitsy, isn't it? The name of the new blockchain. Really cool. I like the name a lot. And yeah, I agree with all that you said. And look, we look at the Bitcoin blockchain, yeah? And nobody has been able to break it. Yeah? There's fundamental rules. And not that they don't have the capability, yeah, that we know of. That's a different question, right, Angus? It's a long story, but it has been officially known to be broken, okay? So, because cryptography was really at the core, yeah, when they created. It was not created by programmers, it was created by guys that understand cryptography and go to basic principles, and then the developers come on top of that, you know? And that's absolutely critical when you're trying to look at blockchains and how the blockchains were developed, to give you confidence that what you are building on those blockchains are going to really be the future, because your money is, or your investment, or your investors' money, and the future of what you're trying to build, yeah? So, thank you very much, guys. I just want to leave you with one phrase they understand very well. Trust nothing, validate everything. Okay? Thank you very much.